Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little lamb.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your
See light. We're starting to see it more than ever before. We've held our rate, the numbers, everything we've done. We've been very, very strong on it and very powerful on it.
I came home yesterday, and Jessica was crying. She was crying, like hysterically crying. And I thought, did she see Howard naked or in a swimsuit or some such thing? Or maybe something happened to Grandma. Or, she found out that about 43,000 taxpayers are getting checks for $1.7 million, and she's getting a measly $1,200 while she's unemployed. I didn't know why she was crying. And then I thought, well, maybe she saw that on the TV there. And realized he is in charge of a government in the middle of a pandemic. No, you know why she was crying? This was so beautiful. This really was. This warmed the cockles of your heart, which apparently get ate up by the COVID. Oh my God, this thing is a much more complex thing, this disease, than you thought. I will show you something a little bit into the show that's going to blow your freaking mind about what it does. But it was because she was crying because she saw Barack Obama. See, now you know I did a good job, right? Now you know I did. Personally, I think Donald Trump, he's putting his name on the paper checks that are going out, the measly $1,200 that each and every person is going to get, which pays for about a fraction of your rent. And people are just going to go out and waste it on things like, food and gas. You crazy, crazy people, you. But she was watching Barack Obama endorse Joe Biden, and she began to weep, thinking of a time when we had, and I asked her, why are you crying? Because you're seeing Obama? She said, because he's so presidential and I miss him. He was such a decent person. He had character. He was smart. I miss that in a leader. I miss that. And I was so moved. I mean, I really was. So then I go into my little yellow office, right, which is, where I work at home. And, I face the wall. I don't want to. And all of a sudden I hear weeping because I'm editing the Obama endorsement of Joe Biden because it was 12 minutes long. So I'm editing it for today. And I hear her weeping again. And I turn her, really? And she's, I don't know. I can't help it. I miss him. I miss him. I miss sanity. I miss everything about those years. I miss everything. I miss it all. I miss my life. I miss it. It was real. It was absolutely real. She was just hysterical crying. And then she started laughing, crying. You ever laugh, cry? That's an ugly cry, Oprah. The crying, the hysterical crying, that's an ugly. But when you laugh, cry, I don't even know. Your face doesn't even know what to do. Has no idea where it's going. But so I edited this while she was crying.
Of course, Democrats may not always agree on every detail of the best way to bring about each and every one of these changes. But we do agree that they're needed. And that only happens if we win this election. Because one thing everybody has learned by now is that the Republicans occupying the White House and running the U.S. Senate are not interested in progress. They're interested in power. Oh! They've shown themselves willing to kick millions off their health insurance and eliminate pre-existing condition protections for millions more, even in the middle of this public health crisis, even as they're willing to spend $1 trillion on tax cuts for the wealthy. They've given polluters unlimited power to poison our air and our water and denied the science of climate change, just as they denied the science of pandemics. Repeatedly, they've disregarded American principles of rule of law and voting rights and transparency, basic norms that previous administrations observed regardless of party, principles that are the bedrock of our democracy. So our country's future hangs on this election, and it won't be easy. The other side has a massive war chest. The other side has a propaganda network with little regard for the truth. On the other hand, pandemics have a way of cutting through a lot of noise and spin to remind us of what is real and what is important. This crisis has reminded us that government matters. It's reminded us that good government matters, that facts and science matter, that the rule of law matters, that having leaders who are informed and honest and seek to bring people together rather than drive them apart, those kind of leaders matter. In other words, elections matter. Right now, we need Americans of goodwill to unite in a great awakening against a politics that too often has been characterized by corruption, carelessness, self-dealing, disinformation, ignorance, and just plain meanness. And to change that, we need Americans of all political stripes to get involved in our politics and our public life like never before. For those of us who believe in building a more just, more generous, more democratic America, where everybody has a fair shot at opportunity, for those of us who believe in a government that cares about the many and not just the few, for those of us who love this country and are willing to do our part to make sure it lives up to its highest ideals, now's the time to fight for what we believe in.
That was tear jerking because without naming the orange, Twitler, of course he was talking about this incompetent moron. Of course he was talking about this selfish bastard. Of course he was talking about the carelessness and the corruption and the disregard for the rule of law that Donald Trump exhibits every time he opens up his pie hole. Every single time he stands there, he says, "I'm in total control. I control everything." He makes crap up. He assigns powers to himself that he neither wants nor wields, and he does it because he botched a response to a pandemic. He cheated in the last election. He is thin-skinned. He calls people losers. He calls viruses names because he thinks somehow that makes him superior to a freaking organism. I don't know, but it really did get. I hadn't seen it because I was working, and I was like, oh my God, wow! Listen, sanity and character and fortitude and caring and an appreciation of American sacrifice and an understanding. The only thing that was missing, I have to tell you, is I'm not so sure there will be an election. I'm not so sure it'll be fair. And I'm not so sure that people won't have to martyr themselves in order to vote, because Donald Trump is very keen on destroying the Postal Service, as you know, which is starting now to get some play in the press. Because the Postal Service is an integral part of our elections in at least 5 states, right? 5 states vote entirely by mail. Those of you who request an absentee ballot, you make the request by mail, and then the absentee ballot comes to you by mail. More people are going to want a ballot mailed to them than ever before. And we are sitting here wondering if we will have reliable mail, as the mailmen, the postal workers, are risking their lives in the middle of a pandemic. Because now it's through rain and sleet and snow and hail and corona. Through Rona. I miss him. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.